All right. Hey everyone. Welcome to my grade 12 English Passion Project TED Talk Coronavirus Quarantine Edition. Purpose is the reason that you journey. Passion is the fire that lights your way. What is my passion purpose for this project, you ask? I wanted to make a video game and I wanted to make my friends laugh. My original intention was to create a 3D based horror game featuring this little puffer fish named Plav that my friends and I found funny. I wanted to start entirely from scratch and over the course of the semester build the game from the ground up, incorporating new elements in each week until the game was fully fledged. The game featured an enriching story about a puffer fish named Plav. You start at a house in the forest at night and then have to traverse through the house and escape various pufferfish Plavs with nothing but a single flashlight. This was a rather simple premise, and it became the base work for my game. Let's go through what I created and discuss the inner workings of each part. And so, the journey begins. When you start the game, you're greeted to a grim-looking house engulfed by fog, trees, and hills. Plav wanted posters are scattered all around, and the graves of pufferfishes that were once sitting are abandoned. You'll notice that my character is blocky and has an octopus on his head. This is my custom character, and anybody who plays the game is also able to create their own. The house on the hill is able to be explored, and the characters in the game, which are actually my friends in real life, make you want to explore. I remember being excited to be finished with this level, as it was really tedious to create. I had to do a lot of model building and monotonous modeling to get it all running smoothly. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I think it fits the aesthetic of my game pretty well. When you enter the house, you've realized that you've fallen for the Plav's trap. It's actually a pitfall into the dungeon. We get introduced to the Plavs for the first time here. They're trapped in this cage, and you have to climb over them and cross this rickety broken plank bridge to the other side. If you fall in there, you'll be the Plav's lunch. The main challenge down here is creating a module script for each Plav that would track players and hunt them down if they were in a certain range of the Plav. This took a lot of scripting. Introducing the lab. An abandoned science research facility that has been overrun by Plavs who have converted the building to a Plav experiment empire. As you walk through, you'll be able to look through the windows of different rooms and lay witness to the various terrifying experiments the Plavs are conducting. Don't forget, however, but the Plav's chasing you, so don't stop to look for too long. Making this level went really smoothly. The lab was a breeze to create. I built it all in about a day, which is pretty exciting. The main problem came with the amount of Plavs in this location. Since each Plav is running its own module script to try and find humanoids, this creates a slowdown in the game due to the amount of processing power required to run so many scripts at once. Because of this, I had to make a new type of Plav. Decoration Plavs. These are visually the exact same as regular Plavs, except for instead of attempting to run a script to find humans, they instead just stand idle. This relieved a lot of pressure on the computer that was trying to run the scripts all at once and allowed for the game to run smoothly. These decoration Plavs were put inside the windows of the rooms, as the Plavs in there wouldn't be able to reach your character in the first place anyway. This level is the player's revolution. You can finally begin to fight back against the Plavs. After the lab, you receive a sword that can slay Plavs. The Plavs, instead of killing you in just one hit, now kill you in 3 or more to make it a fairer fight. Don't be fooled just yet though, as it's still not an easy feat to just simply defeat a Plav. They take no knockback, so they will continue to attack you with no remorse and can sense you from anywhere. On top of this, there are many, many more of them than there are of you. They also tend to ambush you, as seen in this house. This was a difficult level to complete troubleshooting-wise, as the amount of Plavs called for an entirely different optimized script that allowed for more Plavs. It was just simply not possible to have so many Plavs in the level without some sort of new revolutionary optimization, and as such, I created a module script. Finally, we arrived at the gates of Plab's Castle, the hardest level yet. Plab's Castle is a long corridor filled with intense and incredibly difficult trials. The first of these trials is the starfish jump over Plab-infested waters. In this trial, you and your fellow players must jump from meticulously placed starfish to starfish, all the while dodging Plabs which wait for you atop the starfish. This is certain to incite rage among all the players, as it is tailored to be quite anger-inducing. The next trial is the swinging Plab balls. These are Plabs who have been converted into spike balls that now swing for eternity for the sole purpose of making your life more difficult. This is a very horrible fate to endure. If you somehow find yourself getting past the Plab balls of doom, the next trial is a tightrope across the void. If that doesn't sound daunting enough, how about being accompanied by at least a dozen bloodthirsty Plabs atop the rope? Finally, a battle on the staircase with a V-shaped Plab posse. The most difficult of these trials to make was the swinging Plab balls, as they required me to dust off my mathematics cap again and try some hand at scripting some physics, specifically oscillation. After these trials were completed, you might get to make your way to the final boss. You're immediately surrounded by Plabs. You have no choice but to fight them all off, swinging in every possible direction. After taking them all on, you're directed towards this bridge and pick up a new weapon, the Plab Blaster. Upon climbing the bridge, you'll finally look death in the eyes in the form of a monstrosity known as the Super Plab. If you paid close attention in the laboratory, you would have noticed that the red Plab being operated laying on a table inside one of the windowed rooms. This is what he has become. This is a battle of endurance and skill, as you must outlast him. He will necromance Plabs around you to battle alongside him, and you must take on both him and these Plabs. This fight can go on for ages, so I'll speed it up. This is probably the hardest work I've done in the game. For the final fight, I switched the game to an entirely new lighting rendering engine, which allows for more realism and special effects. Through this, the game looks even more beautiful. Rain falls all around you and your cohorts, and your shadows are realistically calculated and displayed. Lastly, the final boss was difficult to create, as he has multiple attack patterns and moves, all of which I painstakingly coded into the battle. Eventually, as you can see, the Super Plab gives up on life and commits suicide in a bittersweet conclusion to our party's troubles. From here, the safe yet ominous yellow glow of light emerges in the distance. The fight is over. With this, our player's journey has been completed. Over the course of the game's creation, I learned a lot about the way that I work and the challenges of making a game from start to finish. I'm a very visual and tactile kind of guy, and as such, most of the hard work went into the look and feel of the game. I learned best the hard way, and because of this, I had to go through reloading the game, playtesting, rescripting over and over and over again until everything worked as planned. The challenges all arose in the scripting and dedication aspect, as taking time out to fix things can be tedious and time-consuming. The main thing I took away from all of this was that programming takes a ton of time and effort to get right. You always feel so close to your goal, but to actually get there will take a multitude of dedication and effort. One thing I learned about myself was that I really enjoy making games, especially for small audiences such as my friend group. When I was younger, I'd probably want a huge audience, but now that kind of attention doesn't really appeal to me the same way. Skills were important in this project, and as such, I self-evaluated myself on how well I've used some of them throughout the project. Responsibility. I didn't hand in most of my work on time, so I gave myself a level 1. Organization. I gathered all the information I needed and used it all to my advantage with this project, and it required no outside help because of this. I gave myself a level 4. Independent work. I used my time wisely and I finished my tasks. However, not all of them were published and handed in properly, so I gave myself just a simple level 3. Initiative. I was very excited to work on the project, and I spent plenty of time working on it, learning new skills and knowledge, so I gave myself a level 4. Finally, self-regulation. I took down all problems that stood in my way, and I made an effort to overcome them all, so I gave myself a level 4. I was thankful I did my journals, as they helped a ton to make this TED Talk. I didn't use the images from the journals as they were replaced by the video playthrough I made. However, snippets of text from the journals were used here and there to explain the levels and how I felt making them. I also believe that I did meet my initial plans and goals. My friends had a great time, and I got to create a game and had a ton of fun doing it. They didn't exactly evolve, other than the fact that I didn't know what the game was going to look like when I first started. But overall, I say that it was a good effort. It's pretty safe to say I'm not exactly proud of what I accomplished, as it's a horror game about a pufferfish, but I certainly do think it's pretty funny. My biggest win was my friends playing the game, enjoying it, laughing their heads off. That was great. All the problems I had scripting the plabs and building the levels I finally resolved, and the game fully works. I just had to put in more time, solve the problems, finish up buildings. Taking from all this work, one could ask, could I take this passion further? I thought about it, and I believe the best path for me is to just keep game design as a hobby. I wouldn't want to get burnt out by being forced to make games every single day of my life. I can certainly see this hobby coming to a further fruition and having it influence me with more projects on the way, but for a career, I would probably decline. As far as keeping my friends and I laughing together is concerned, I plan to do that for the rest of my life. As for if I did this again, I'd probably choose the same type of project, making a game for my friends and I to laugh at. I think it was pretty fun, and I would recommend it to other courses. However, you would have to make sure to incorporate concepts from whichever course you pick into the project. The only thing I would do differently was the communication. I was kind of confused on what to do. I felt like deadlines flew right at my face, even without realizing they were there until it was too late. I felt like we could have been talked to more and reminded of the deadlines than we were. Also, I don't really believe that reading a whole book on whatever subject you pick was necessary. I think a much better alternative for the reading mark would have been to ask students to explain what they've learned from reading research on their topic, maybe provide a short little summary of what they've read. I don't think an entire book was really necessary, more so just research on the topic. Overall, my passion project was a success. My friends and I had a good laugh, and I finally created that 3D game from start to finish. Try out your own passions sometime. They can be really fun to set out upon.